Right here, down. Protect them out. We put the work in. Let's finish. Come on, man. Let's do this. Family, I'll do 1, 2, 3.
You see, we dream chase, cause that's all we was given to start with. Then we realized the dream was obtainable. Now look at us.
What's going on, Eagles Nation and TMTP family? Welcome back to another episode here on the Main Thing Podcast presents. It's your boy, Mr. Owens. And after further review, the call stands. I'm still official with no stripes.
What's going on, Eagles family? It's your man, Big Huss, the one you trust, tapping in with that midnight green medicine. Now, look, our Philadelphia Eagles have spent the better part of this week in Massachusetts, and this wasn't just a regular week of training camp. The Birds got to spend time together at the team hotel. They competed against New England Patriots in 2 intense joint practices. We saw some physicality, a bunch of competition, some pushing and shoving, some players making big statements, some players exposing areas they need to clean up. And now we're getting ready for preseason game number 2, preseason game dos, okay? Hey, that's going to be Saturday night against the same New England Patriots. And that's what kind of makes this game a bit interesting, because after 2 days of competing against one another, teams start to get to know each other a bit, right? You're going through vanilla stuff, but you've seen a lot of the same stuff you're going to see throughout the week in the game. So we've seen matchups, we've seen strengths and weaknesses, we've seen emotions, and now they get to settle it under the lights. Ain't nothing better than a night game. I'll tell you that right now. But Eagles fans, let's make something very clear from the beginning here, right? This just isn't about winning a preseason game for the sake of saying, hey, we won, right? We all want to win, but it's a little bigger than that. The real objective is evaluation. They need to do better than they need to be better than they were against the Baltimore Ravens, because wasn't our best outing, even if it was backups, right? We need cleaner football, better execution, and most importantly, we need to see players fighting for roster spots and start to separate themselves from the competition, right? So today, we're going to break down everything that's happened during training camp while we're up in New England, what we learned from these joint practices, the biggest players and the storylines to watch, you know, exactly what we're looking for come Saturday night in preseason game number 2. But before we jump into all the goodness, you already know Mr. Owens got to talk to you real quick.
Hey, Big Huss, as always, thank you for setting me up with the assist. Like I'm going back door for a dunk. You already know what time it is, man. But look, on a serious and important note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, look, we're at 763 subscribers in major part to y'all support. All right, so look, check this out. We're chasing 1,000, 1000, okay, a stack before the end of the year, and we want y'all to maximize our watch time hours as a community, because not only have y'all had our back, but y'all know we truly always have y'all back as well in the process. Brick by Brick has always been the model for the Main Thing Podcast presents. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, what are we doing here? Okay, look, make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all continue liking the videos. Get these watch time hours up. All right, it only takes a second or two. If y'all got love for Mr. Owens and Big Huss, do y'all responsibility. All right, and look, if y'all haven't subscribed yet, y'all are part of the Brick Building crew. Look, help us to continue building brick by brick and adding these bricks to the wall. But to our loyal A1 day one supporters, thank you. Y'all know it's all love. The Main Thing Podcast presents can't happen without the support from y'all. And to our new supporters, welcome to the community and our family. Let's continue to do our part for the community and our family. Go ahead and like them videos. We're not going to keep telling y'all. Hit that like button. Disrespect that comment section, share and subscribe to the community and our content, and make sure, look, turn them notifications on too. Make sure them noties is turned all the way on so you don't miss when me and Big Huss drop this pressure on y'all. Now y'all understand the assignment. Let's get it done and let's continue to reach these milestones here with the Main Thing Podcast presents. Let's get to it, Huss. You already know.
Absolutely. Hey, chasing a stack, man. Let's
Come on, man. Come on.
All right, let's chop bird talk real quick, man. Let's start with the overall picture. So the first joint practice didn't go Philly's way, right? New England came out looking like the better football team, right? The Patriots started faster, they played cleaner, and exposed some areas where the Eagles still have to tighten up. I mean, and this is preseason. We expect that, right? Nobody's perfect at this point in the season. Now, Philadelphia eventually made up some ground, but New England regained control toward the end of the session. I actually think that's exactly why joint practices are so valuable, right? You're leaving your own building. You're facing a completely different coaching staff, different scheme. You're facing players who don't care about your reputation, right? They trying to win. They trying to feed their families. But then suddenly, some of the things that look good inside your own training camp are being tested against somebody else. Hey, look, the Patriots exposed some inconsistencies in Philadelphia's passing game. The secondary gave up way too many plays on day one. And the first team offense couldn't put any points on the board during the full field scrimmage. But, and this is important, the Eagles weren't completely dominated. They showed some signs of life with the run game, right? Saquon Barkley found some running room, and the offensive line consistently created running lanes for him. We can't overreact because these are practices and there isn't live tackling in these parts of practice, but the blocking was encouraging, right? I even saw clips where Will Shipley had some gaping holes created by the offensive line. He's going for 10, 15, 20 yards, right? And that's something that we want as Eagles fans, right? We want to pay attention to this because when the passing game wasn't consistently clicking, the ground game remained reliable. That's the foundation of this offense, and that's how this offense should be built around. Even though we brought in Sean Mannion, known for the passing attack and creating different looks, Philadelphia will always be a run-first team. Run to set up the pass, to set up the explosive plays, and we're getting a little glimpse of the run game here and now, our second preseason week.
Yes. And to your point, bro, we've always been a run-based team. We have a strong run game, and we play defense, even if you want to go back to Andy Reid days. So to get that running game back into shape, Sean Mannion being creative with the run game, and we're seeing these gaping holes not only during our own practice at training camp, but with the joint practices with the New England Patriots. It's a sign of encouragement that we can get back to the 2024 run game as opposed to that 2025 run game last season. But now we got to talk about our franchise Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback, because obviously this is going to be one of the biggest conversations coming out of Foxborough. So QB1 has now thrown 11 interceptions during training camp, and especially if you add in the 2 joint practices with the New England Patriots. And we're going to keep it a beam with y'all. That is a number that we simply just cannot ignore. QB1 threw 3 interceptions during the first practice and 2 more during the second one. So 11 interceptions is a lot compared to what we normally see from QB1 during training camp. As we all know, ball security matters. And before the regular season begins, the Eagles have to get that cleaned up. It's an emphasis on that. We have to get that cleaned up and handled. But here's where I want us to slow down just a little bit. The numbers, they don't tell the entire story. It's always context behind everything. One of the interceptions on day one came on a short pass to Dontayvion Wicks. The ball hit Dontayvion's hands, bounced into the air, and a Patriots defender came down with it. Now, that's an unlucky bounce, okay? But it's a part of football. That's why it's called a tip drill. Yeah, all right, so you see what I'm saying? We practice that as DBs. The ball comes, bow, get up, find the ball, locate it, get a turnover. That interception gets charged to QB1, even though it ricocheted off of Dontayvion Wicks, but that's not necessarily a bad decision. Was it necessarily a bad throw? Again, this is where context matters. Another interception came during 7-on-7, where QB1 doesn't have the benefit of a running game or an actual pass pro affecting the defense. So yes, the interceptions again do matter, but the eye test matters more. QB1 made some really good throws throughout these practices. He connected deep with Elijah Moore. He consistently found Hollywood Brown, who we've been looking for on short and intermediate routes. He found Jalyx Hunt on crossing routes. He hit Saquon, say 2K on a screen and allowed Saquon to create yards after the catch. Where those screens been at? Sean Mannion has heard us. We've been manifesting this, okay? And to Husky's point, he hit Will Shipley on a wheel route for an impressive over-the-shoulder grab. But one person who's been sticking out at training camp a lot this offseason has been Dontayvion Wicks, okay? So we're not going to sit here and tell y'all that interceptions don't matter, because they absolutely do. But then you got to keep in mind that QB1 hasn't been with his number one receiver in Devontae Smith. And then also our first round pick in McKee Lemon has been battling his hamstring injury and hasn't been on the field as well. So QB1 has to work with the receivers that he has there, okay? So we're not going to tell you that QB1 had 2 terrible practices, because he didn't. Because when you look at the overall tape and the eye test, they show you much more than a complicated picture of him throwing 11 interceptions during training camp and those 2 practices with New England. We have to remember as well, QB1 and the rest of the offense is entering into a new scheme. So route concepts are different. Timing is different. We got to remember, it's hard when everybody, all 11 that's supposed to be starting, is not on the field together. So let's just give QB1 some grace. Let's give this offense some grace. And we're sure that they'll get on the right track and make us proud this season.
Yeah, no, spot on. You were spot on. Like you said, didn't have all your horses out there. So the chemistry you do have are with your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th players who are truly fighting for roster spots on the team. Then, as you mentioned as well, he's learning a new scheme.
Yes.
The Sean Mannion scheme, he's going to be taught to see the field differently for real. Maybe last year he was taught to read it left to right, and now this year he's having to read it right to left. Whatever the case may be, having to throw over the field, he's been asked to do some things that he hasn't done on a consistent basis in the past. He's having to do it consistently. So it's going to be a learning curve now. We expect that, but nothing to panic about. It is still practice. You don't know what exactly they were drilling in that point in time. Things happen. Like you said, and it wasn't like it was 2 bad days, right? He responded on day 2, right? And this is where we can actually become encouraged, because day 2 didn't start perfectly for Hurts either, right? He threw an interception on a short pass intended for Hollywood Brown. Then he threw another interception toward the left sideline. Again, not ideal, not perfect. But what did Jalen do? What QB1 typically does.
Always does.
Yeah, he responded, as you would want from your leader and your quarterback, right? He threw a touchdown to Dallas Goedert. He found Dontayvion Wicks for another touchdown. My man is having a hell of a camp, right? Connected with Wicks again for a first down, and then came for some red zone work. Hurts moved the offense down inside the 5-yard line. He rolled right, found Hollywood Brown in the back of the end zone. Although Brown couldn't get both feet down, look, it was still a good throw. And rather than forcing something crazy, Hurts came right back. This time, though, he delivered a tight window touchdown to Hollywood Brown. Then Philadelphia went for 2. Hurts rolled right. I'm out there with sweat, waited for the play to develop, floated the ball back across the field to Darius Cooper. Beautiful touch. Successful conversion. This is the type of response that you want to see from your quarterback, from your leader, from the man who's going to be leading these men out onto the field, right? In football, you are going to make mistakes, but you can't let the mistakes become the storyline. You can't let those mistakes creep into your mind and cripple your play. You have to respond. You have to make plays. You have to finish strong. And that's exactly what Hurts did on day 2. And that's something I want to see carry over into Saturday night, because last week our quarterbacks didn't have a good showing either. Quarterback 2 and 3 or 3, wherever you want to put them, McKee, and it wasn't good for neither one of them. So Saturday night is a day for them to be able to go out there, bounce back, and put some good film out there.
Yes, for sure, bro. We're not really too much concerned about QB1. QB1 is a professional. So you already know he's a hard worker. He works tirelessly. He wants to be the best. So with him throwing those interceptions, hey, we've been saying it on content for years now. We don't care if QB1 throws interceptions. Take that risk. Throw that ball because we know QB1 can make every single throw. So, yeah, 11 interceptions is kind of alarming, but also we know that QB1 knows how to protect the football, as we've seen it the past few years that he's been our starter. But then also, we know that we will rather see QB1 make these mistakes in practice when it necessarily doesn't matter. You can go back to the drawing board and watch the film and correct it to get better versus the regular season. So let's calm down. Let's pump the brakes. Everything will be okay. QB1, it's not like, oh man, we got to put Tanner McKee in. We got to. No, 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 no. QB1 will be fine. Trust and believe. All right. But we've already touched a little bit on this next player, but we have to talk more about Dontayvion Wicks because this young man continues to make noise throughout training camp. Dontayvion consistently created separation through training camp, and that continued in New England. His route running gave Patriots defenders fits all day. Oh my gosh, you had people over here. Oh, where you going? Where you going? Oh my gosh. In both joint practices, he routinely got open. QB1 continuously looked his way, and on day 2, Wicks caught a touchdown over the middle and added another first down reception. And that's significant, especially considering that the Slim Reaper Devontae Smith is working his way back from a hamstring issue, and our rookie Mekhi Lemon remains limited. Wicks is getting more and more opportunities, and he's taking advantage of them. And we can't forget about Hollywood Brown. Now, Hollywood has what was described as his best 2 day stretch of camp. He was reliable, he was getting open, and he finished day 2 with a red zone tie down. All right. So now we're looking at this receiver room and asking a very interesting question. How much depth does Philadelphia actually have at the wide receiver position? Now, we already know we've got Devontae Smith, you've got Dontayvion Wicks emerging. You've got Hollywood Brown. You got Elijah Moore, who's actually been having a very, very good camp and making his case to make the active 53-man roster. You've got Darius Cooper, who's been showing flashes through training camp, but then when he got to New England, he kind of fizzled out a little bit. But eventually, you're hoping to get Mekhi Lemon back fully healthy and into the mix. That could be a much deeper receiver room than people originally expected, especially when we traded AJ Brown. Everybody's like, hold on, whoa, what the receiver room gonna look like? I know you got Devontae Smith, but after him, who do you truly have? But everybody's saying, ho, 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 don't count us out. Look, we came here, we get paid as well. We made it to the NFL, so we're talented. So they're saying anytime that they get an opportunity on that field, they're taking advantage of their reps because you have to build trust with your QB. You have to build that timing with your QB. And Dontayvion Wicks, Elijah Moore, Darius Cooper have all taken advantage of these moments, especially with Devontae Smith and Mekhi Lemon being out for a short period of time in training camp.
For sure. And you're right. Every receiver in that receiver room is realizing the opportunity that's in front of them for real.
Yes.
No AJ Brown. That's a lot of targets now that get to go to somebody else or maybe a couple other people. Addition by subtraction. So it's good to see everybody stepping up. We were just speaking on Hollywood Brown and how he needed to do more and kind of, put his name in that hat. And it seems like these past couple of days up in New England against another opponent, he's been doing just that. So it's good to see him stepping up. It's good to see that we have some depth like this in the receiver room. I don't know if we've ever really had depth like this inside our receiver room. We've had a couple pairs, D Jack, Macklin, as you know, AJ Brown, Smitty, T.O., but to have 3, 4, possibly 5 deep in this room, that's different. And
that's major.
Yeah, that can get scary for some teams for real.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk some injuries because this is one area we absolutely have to monitor. Health is wealth. Devontae Smith remained limited because of the hamstring injury, as Mr. Owens said. Now, although He was limited. He participated in position work, which is a good sign to see he's progressing towards getting fully back. Then you have McKee Lemon, another encouraging development. Lemon was upgraded to a limited participation after previously being listed as a DNP, did not participate since early in camp. He didn't participate in team drills, but he did running, cutting, position work. That's progress. That's what we saw Smitty doing just a few days back. So everybody's trending in the right direction, right? And I like the way the Eagles are handling it. There is no reason to rush a rookie receiver back just because everybody wants to see him. Let him heal up. Let him build back up. As we just said, there's depth in this receiver room, so we don't need him to be on the field right now. Take your time with it, right? And get him ready to contribute when he's actually ready. There were also several players who did not participate, including Byron Young, Jonathan Jones, Johnny Wilson, Grant Calcaterra, Jacorian Bennett, John Njoku, Damian Pierce, and Sean Wade. Now, Byron Young's shoulder injury is new. That's something that just kind of popped up. There were also limited players such as Keyshawn James Newby, Tariq Castro Fields, and then on the positive side, Tank Bisbee, Mac McWilliams, Cole Wisniewski, Danny Gray, and Jose Ramirez were removed from the injury report. So that's a good sign. You had some players who moved on, but you had some players who moved off the list as well. Then you had Dontayvion Wicks, who got banged up during practice, but returned shortly after, which was a great sign, especially with the camp he's been having. You want him out there and participating. And then there was Fred Johnson, who was seen leaving practice early with a trainer. So there's a lot to monitor here with players moving on and off the injury list. Like we said, health is wealth. We need everybody ready for week 1. So let's not force anybody back if we don't have to. It's just the preseason right now.
Yes. And typically we're usually healthy around week 1. To start the season, we usually have full health on our roster, but there is one injury in particular that has the potential to affect the entire defense, and that injury is Jonathan Greenard. And Greenard remains on a physically unable to perform list with a pectoral injury that he suffered in the weight room. Before practice, Vic Fangio was asked about Greenard's timeline, and Fangio basically said the injury is going to take time to heal. You know, he's going to give it straight. He ain't going sugarcoat nothing. He's going to let you know what that situation is straight up. But then he was asked if he was concerned about Greenard potentially missing the beginning of the season. His answer was an emphatic yes. That's not what the Eagles or our fans necessarily wanted to hear. Philadelphia brought Greenard and expected him to be one of the major pieces of this pass rush. And now, if he's unavailable early in the season, somebody has to take those snaps and those reps that Jonathan Greenard would have had. And this is where Jalyx Hunt becomes even more important, because Jalyx Hunt has been having an amazing training camp and actually turned a few heads in Foxborough, not only from the Eagles organization, but from the New England Patriots organization. But he is somebody who me and Big Huss have been high on since we first drafted him. We knew that he had the potential to get to this point, but now actually seeing it develop right in front of our eyes, look, man, we're going to be in for a big treat with Jalyx Hunt this season, and I can really see him getting double-digit sacks the way that he has turned this corner and had developed into a full time edge rusher, especially coming up from the safety position. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, man.
You go from the back end to the front end.
To the front end.
You don't really see that happen like that.
No.
But it's crazy. Jonathan Greenard spoke highly. That was the first person that Jonathan Greenard spoke highly of when he got to Philadelphia.
When he got here.
You know, said Jalyx Hunt has all the tools to be an elite edge rusher, and you're starting to see a lot of that as far as even rushing the passer, but then dropping back in coverage. Boy had an interception just off a hustle play. Crazy.
The one hand
jump. Yeah, took it off the turf with it. Like you said, he is really turning heads, not only in Philadelphia, but in New England as well. And we might really have a superstar in the making. Now let's talk on the back end. We're talking secondary. I mean safeties. Let's talk about the secondary right quick, right? Because we saw some good out the secondary, but we also saw some bad. Right? We saw some adversity, a little bit of everything, right? Mixed bag. So let's start with Riq Woolen. So day one wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. The Patriots appeared to target Woolen repeatedly, and A.J. Brown got a downfield completion against them. Romeo Dobbs also created separation. Although he dropped the football, the separation was there. But here's what I love. Woolen responded on day 2 once again. In football and in life, really, it's about how you respond. And Woolen responded on day 2. He gave up a touchdown to Dobbs and 2-on-2 work, but later broke up a fade in team drills. He had jumped the route intended for A.J. Brown and intercepted Drake May, taking that thing to the house for real, right? And then he punched the ball away from Brown, creating another takeaway that Jalyx Hunt, which you just spoke about, secured for the interception. Was it perfect? Not at all. But once again, this is training camp. As Owen said, if you're going to mess up, now is the time to mess up. Make the mistakes now rather than the regular season, right? Now, there was still some communication issues and another touchdown allowed to Dobbs, but this is Riq Woolen's experience. But this is the Riq Woolen experience we're learning about. Size, speed, ball skills, splash plays, but also some inconsistencies. Now, 23-1 Quinyon Mitchell had his own major challenge. A.J. Brown. Now look, A.J. Brown did not look like a receiver who just lost his athletic ability. Brown gave Mitchell some work. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. On day 2, Brown caught 3 touchdown passes against Philadelphia. It was all-pro corner during 2-on-2 work. He caught another touchdown during team drills, right? Mitchell was also flagged on another Brown target. Now, we're not panicking over this, right? Actually, we have to look at this a bit differently. I'd rather Quinyon get tested by A.J. Brown in August than have his first major adversity against an elite receiver in a meaningful game. We go up against the Cowboys, all of a sudden CeeDee Lamb or somebody's getting off. Just something crazy, right? Get burnt now. So you learn now. This is what joint practice was supposed to do. They expose you. Now let's see Quinyon respond, and we know Q was going to respond. That's just what this team is built around, responding to adversity, not backing down from it, not going around it, going straight through it. Shit, Cooper didn't have a good day the other day too, but he bounced back. This is what we do here in Philadelphia, so no reason to panic. As far as Riq Woolen goes, I think his biggest hurdle is just going to be being more consistent. Clearly, talent is there, but we got to see it every day. Not week 1 and then week 5 and then week 10. Let's get it every day.
Every single day, bro. Every single day. And truly, it's no need to worry about Quinyon. We already know 23-1 is going to respond, bro. He's an all-pro caliber type of player. Riq Woolen, like you said, is just the consistency because he has all the physical tools to get the job done. And then, like you said, Cooper didn't have the best practice the other day as well. And then even if you want to go back to last season in the preseason, Coop really didn't have a good preseason. Coop was getting cooked in preseason. Coop was getting cooked in preseason. But the thing that makes me excited about these 3 is they're young. So they're eager to get better and they want to be the best, especially the best version of themselves. But I can't remember a time where we had 2 corners that are basically locked down. You have to go all the way back to Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown, and then more recent with Big Play Slade and Quinyon. So to have these 3 in that secondary, man, expect no fly zone, but don't panic over these practices. They're going to continue getting these reps. They're going to continue. And then we have to understand too, they got different looks. That's the one benefit about joint practices. You're going to get unscripted looks that you normally won't see. So look, I'd rather them get exposed right now, like we've been saying, rather than when it's a meaningful game in the regular season and the postseason, because we know that's where our birds will be headed to in 2026. But we got to talk about the defense in totality now. We talked about the secondary, but we have to talk about the unit as a whole. And there were plenty of other defensive positives. Okay, Zack Baun continued to look excellent in coverage. Billboard Baun continues to solidify himself as a top 3 linebacker. Then he broke up a pass downfield on day 1 and knocked down another Drake May pass on day 2. Michael Carter II, he made a nice play by undercutting a tight end's route and breaking up what could have been a towel down. Andre Sam recording a diving interception on a tip pass. He also showed physicality as a run defender during day 2. Breadman Carter was in position for a potential tackle for a loss before being excused from the second practice for personal reasons. And one thing that we really liked was the Godfather Vic's defense didn't get fooled by any of New England's trick plays. Now, that's discipline. That's communication. That's knowing your assignment. And this is exactly what you want to see from a defense that's heading towards the regular season, especially with the regular season being what, about 3 weeks away now. These are encouraging signs that our defense is going to be dominant in 2026.
Absolutely. Look, this is the Don's third year here. I expect nothing less from this unit. You talking about majority of the starters have been in the system for 3 years. Everybody knows their assignment. They know where they're supposed to be, right? All the athletic talent in the world on that side of the ball, they're gonna be locked in. They're gonna be locked in. If no other unit is gonna be locked in, we know the defense is gonna be locked in, led by Vic Fangio, right? So let's talk a little offensive line talk right here because there were some positives here too. Tyler Steen had a strong overall summer and generally held his own during one-on-ones, which is a good sign. Cam Jurgens held up well against Corey Durden. Mark Bell showed impressive power when he anchored against Jesse Lukata and drove him into the ground. Mark Bell is another one who's having a great camp for a rookie right now. Drew Kendall struggled against one bull rush, but responded by completely stonewalling the defender on the next play, right? Responding. This is the kind of response coaches want, y'all. I'm telling y'all, you can get beat, but what you gonna look like on the next play? You gonna get yours? You gonna get your look back? And that's what we doing, right? But then there was one situation that really caught our attention. Landon Dickerson, former Eagle Milton Williams, who we all love, drove Dickerson backwards during one-on-ones. No bueno. Then Dickerson was pushed back on Jalen Hurts' lap during team drills. We're not used to seeing Landon Dickerson handled this way. Landon is a big boy, first off. It's a big human being. So to see him getting walked back into the quarterback, that's not a positive sign. One practice doesn't erase everything that Dickerson's done, but all in the same, it's worth monitoring. You also remember, Landon is coming back with some health issues, so we're hoping that this has nothing to do with health. This is just maybe a technical issue, him just getting his technique back. But you got to watch it. And then Miles Hilton had a difficult practice as well, which makes his path toward the final roster increasingly challenging. Look, we have some linemen who we brought in this year who are simply balling. Miles Hilton, might be odd man out with the rookies playing well, with Lampkin playing well. Miles might find himself on a practice roster if he doesn't pick up and really show something in these next two preseason games.
Yeah. I want to add on to your point about Landon Dickerson, bro, because we got to monitor that situation like ring doorbell. Like on some real, bro, because I don't know from his injuries whether that is affecting his power. But the last couple of seasons, man, Landon Dickerson hasn't looked like the Landon Dickerson of old. And it's starting to get a little concerning because even during regular season games last season, I saw Landon getting beat by defensive linemen. I saw him getting pushed back into the backfield. So that's something that is a little concerning on our offensive line because we were eager for our offensive line to be fully healthy. And for the most part, they have been fully healthy. But I don't know if all these injuries that have occurred to Landon Dickerson is really affecting his play. But that's something, like I said, that we have to continue monitoring because if that's going to continue being an issue, man, look, Willie Lampkin, he's versatile on that offensive line. So if Landon Dickerson can't get it done, and we're not saying, oh, get Landon out of there because we like Landon Dickerson. He is a great player when healthy. But if he has the potential of being a detriment to the offensive line and the success of our offense, we got to look at other players who are fighting for positions. And Willie Lampkin is somebody who I will really be intrigued and interested by in getting an opportunity to play guard in this system. But fam, look, we still, my gosh, I don't know why. We still don't have a clear answer at quarterback behind QB1. All right. So every single week, every single day, we're looking for somebody to separate themselves. And it's Andy Dalton versus Tanner McKee. On day one, Dalton got the first QB2 opportunity. He started slowly out throwing Eli Stowers, who has not been having a good training camp. I saw him get hemmed up yesterday. Ooh,
End
that boy
zone
was trying,
John.
man.
End
What
zone,
he trying to run a route?
yeah.
Bull was like, bro,
On him.
where you going, bro? I'm on your hip,
On
bro.
him.
Like, what are we doing, man? And it's early in his career, so it's not saying like, oh, he can't turn it around, but it's kind of alarming, being the fact that he was our second round pick this year. I can guarantee you, knowing the Philadelphia organization the way that we do, if Eli Stowers wasn't a second round pick, he could be potentially on the bubble and getting cut from the roster. We need him to step up and show why he was our second round pick for our Birds. But then Andy Dalton responded with completions to the boy Quez Watkins, Samurai Torre, Danny Gray, and Eric Uzinkama. Now, Tanner McKee also started well. He connected with Danny Gray, found Eli Stowers downfield, and hit Will Shipley for a nice game. But McKee couldn't finish the drive during the scrimmage and ended practice with an interception. Then day two flipped the order. Tanner McKee went first, but then Dalton got QB2 reps during the final scrimmage. And Dalton struggled in that sequence. He underthrew Quez Watkins, he overthrew Eli Stowers in the end zone, and he appeared late getting the football to Samurai Torre. All right, so what does that tell us? Either guy has separated themselves. Both of them have been up and down, up and down. Okay. Now, Dalton, we know Andy Dalton gives you the veteran experience, but Tanner McKee gives you the familiarity in Philadelphia with the system and developmental upside. And that's why Saturday's preseason game truly matters, because this could become one of the most important competitions to watch for the remainder of training camp. We need one guy to make plays and separate themselves, so we know that we have a qualified backup behind QB1.
For sure. At this point, I'm a little alarmed, and I think this is truly the biggest battle to watch. Everybody's talking about the safety battle and the guard battle and who's going to be wide receiver two. Damn all that. Who's going to be quarterback two? Because as we know, quarterback two is significant in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And neither one of these guys are seeming like they want to step up, grab the reins, and grab control of this position right now. So I'm really looking at, and granted, you're out there with the backup, so sometimes hard to get a clear evaluation on a guy, but that's the position I'm really looking at in these next two preseason games. Who's going to step up, take your team, drive the field, put some points on the board? Who can be efficient, right, from the QB2 position? Because it has to be one of them, right? Or do we
It has to be, bro.
outside the building? Because what the hell?
Yeah, and real quick, because the person that I'm more frustrated with is Andy Dalton. The fact that he is a veteran, bro, like, I don't care if he's playing with backups or whatever the case may be. He's been on teams that have had worse rosters than what he's playing with now and looked decent. So for him not to be able to sustain drives, for him not to have big days, it's kind of alarming, because we did kind of give him a nice chunk amount of money to be QB2, bro.
We gave up draft comp.
Yes.
That's how sure the Eagles were in him to be quarterback too, that we actually traded for cuts. We gave him some comp to bring him in. And right now we are not seeing the dividends for it.
Ain't no return on an investment, man.
Yeah, at all. At all. I mean, you make a great point, man. He's been around the league a minute. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do something with the unit that you're out there playing with, man. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, man.
Not looking good. So this kind of brings us to the bigger picture. Remember what preseason football is actually about, right? The Eagles eventually have to get from 90 players to 53. So that means they have to cut 37 players. 37 players are going home with a sad story, right? That means every rep matters. Every snap matters. Every special team opportunity, guess what? It matters. And making the initial 53 isn't the only goal. Philadelphia can also carry a practice squad for up to 16 players. So, look, those positions, they matter because injuries are going to happen. We've seen it here in Philadelphia more than anybody, right? But players develop Hold on. Okay. Those positions matter because injuries happen, right? We've seen it more than anybody. And then players develop. And somehow, when somebody starts the season on the practice squad, it can eventually become an important contributor. Look, that's big. That's big. So when you watch Saturday Night, right? Don't just watch the stars because more than likely they'll be on the sideline. Watch the guys fighting for their football lives. Can a receiver consistently separate? Can an offensive line handle a one-on-one pressure or a stunt, right? Can a defensive back communicate and play with proper technique? Can a linebacker diagnose in the blink of an eye? Because that's what it takes. Does somebody contribute on special teams, right? Can we find a returner? Because the returners last week were ass. Can a player make a mistake and immediately respond with a positive play? Because that's what football is about. It's not always going to go your way. You're going to have a lot of highs, but you're going to have a lot of lows as well. These are the things that coaches will be watching. These are the teams that are things, that other teams will be watching. Like I said, 37 people won't make this roster, but that doesn't mean that you can't possibly make another roster. So you have to go out these next, preseason game 2, preseason game 3, and really put a show on because you're not just performing for the Eagles, you're performing for the rest of the NFL. So take advantage of the opportunity.
Yes, it's really an audition. To your point,
Truly is.
it truly is an audition. If you don't make the Birds roster, it ain't saying that you can't make somebody else's roster. So always put your best ability on tape and win your reps. But I wanted to highlight something that you said because it truly stuck out to me when you said somebody who starts the season on the practice squad can eventually become an important contributor. And a person that comes right to my mind that was in that position was Marcus Epps as early as last season because, of course, we had Reed Blankenship who moved on to the Texans this offseason, and then we had Andrew McCouba last season. Those were the two starters, and Marcus Epps was on the practice squad. But Andrew McCouba, when he went down, the Eagles had to continue to elevate Marcus Epps off the practice squad and eventually ran out of elevation. So they had to keep him on the active 53-man roster. So just because you start on the practice squad and that's the beginning of your journey doesn't mean that you're going to end on the practice squad. It's just about your execution. It's about you taking advantage of the opportunity that's handed to you and you winning your reps all in training camp. All right. So when the Eagles, So we all know that our Birds take on the New England Patriots tomorrow at 7 p.m. And these are 6 things that me and Big Huss are watching for as our Birds take the field against those New England Patriots. So, number 1, we have gone over this numerous times. Clean up the penalties. The Eagles were penalized 10 times against Baltimore. No bueno. That has to be cut down. That's too many. Yes, we understand it's preseason. Yes, young players are competing, but the Eagles need to become a more detailed football team. What's the slogan? Tough, detailed, together. We want fewer pre-snap penalties. Stop playing from behind the sticks. Stop allowing us to get off schedule. That hurts us in these games. Fewer alignment mistakes. Understand where you're lining up at. Okay, this is what practice is for. So when you get out into a game situation, you understand where you're supposed to be. And we definitely want the players to control themselves after the whistle. That comes discipline, especially after 2 physical joint practices with the New England Patriots. We still want our Birds, though, to play with emotion, play with toughness, but do not, and I repeat, do not allow emotion to hurt this football team. Be disciplined. If somebody mushes you after the end, just walk away. Be the bigger person. All right. We don't need any dumb penalties costing us field position, costing us downs, and at worst, potentially costing us the game.
For sure.
Number 2, we got to find an offensive rhythm. We don't want Sean Mannion to open up the entire playbook. All right. That is not going to happen. The starters have already received valuable work during training camp and the joint practices. Saturday is all about execution. Can the quarterbacks make the routine throws? Can the offensive line protect? Can the running backs create positive yardage? Can Philadelphia avoid third and long? Win on early downs, stay ahead of the chain, stack first downs, finish drives. That is what we want. Number three, let's build on the bright spots from Baltimore. The Eagles had two takeaways against the Baltimore Ravens. Young players got experience. The reserve offensive lineman stepped up. Rocco Underwood handled responsibilities at long snapper. And this is important because you don't notice your long snapper when everything is going right. Cole Payton provided a spark and eventually got the offense into to the end zone. I'm sorry. And now let's see if those players can build on those performances. All right. Number four, remember this is a roster evaluation. Big Huss did a magnificent job of covering that. This isn't about winning preseason and having a chess match and winning it, okay? It's about discovering who can help the Philadelphia Eagles win these games matter. Number five, young players have to maximize their opportunities. We don't know how many times we can say this. Saturday night is going to be a huge for players fighting for backup jobs, special team roles, roster spots, and practice squad considerations. This is where somebody can change their trajectory on the roster. And finally, number six, let's expect a physical brand of football. These teams have already competed against each other for the past 2 days. They know each other's tendencies. They know who won certain matchups. They remember the pushing and shoving. They remember all the competition. So let's expect this game to have some juice. But again, Philadelphia has to remain disciplined. But we also want them to play fast, play physical, and protect your teammates at all costs. But do not let any unnecessarily penalties take away from the evaluation that the coaches have to do.
For sure. Like I said, although all of those were spot on, gotta see clean football this week. The penalties, that's something if you don't tighten it up now, that'll carry over to the regular
It will
season.
linger, yes.
Yeah, easily. Easily. Like I said, now we're behind the sticks and things of that nature. And lastly, let's try to make it out of this game as healthy as possible. Like, no more injuries. You know, like you said, the season 3 weeks out. We need everybody accounted for and on board when the Commanders roll around, right? So, fam, when we sit down and we watch the Eagles Patriots preseason game, watching three things above everything else. Like I said, cleaner football, better offensive execution, right? From both Andy Dalton and Tanner McKee, and eventually Cole Payton when he gets in there. And young players separating themselves from the pack. We don't need the Eagles to score 40 points. That's not what the preseason is about. It's not about scoring as many points as you can score, right? We don't need Jalen Hurts to throw 400 yards. He won't be out there anyway, but we don't need that. And we definitely don't need the Eagles to reveal their entire regular season offense in August. That's just not smart football, right?
Mhm.
You need to see is progress because that's what this week in New England is truly all about. The Eagles got challenged. They got exposed in certain areas. But at the end of the day, they responded. And now they get another opportunity to go improve, right? To sharpen your craft. Cube, the quarterbacks, Tanner McKee, Andy Dalton, we have to clean up the turnovers, right? The secondary has to become more consistent. The offensive line, hey, has a couple things to monitor, mainly getting healthy, but protect whatever quarterbacks in there. And when it's the run game and it's time to get nasty, drive your man into the ground, right? Now, Jonathan Greenard's health is becoming a legit storyline, but there are also some extremely encouraging developments as well. Dontayvion Wicks continues to emerge as looks like he's going to be a star in Philadelphia. Will Shipley had an outstanding practice, is establishing himself as RB3. That's a good sign. Hollywood Brown is giving the offense a reliable target. We were looking for him. He showed up, right? Riq Woolen showed his ability to respond after a difficult day. Billboard Bond, hey, he continues to look like a special coverage linebacker, just an all-around smart linebacker, continuing to put his full display, Rika talents on display. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And then there's Jalyx Hunt. Look, Jalyx Hunt might be one of the biggest stories coming out of Eagles training camp right now. And if he continues to play at this level, the rest of the league might have to start paying attention. That's what I love about training camp, right? We're not looking for perfection in offense. We're looking for clues. We're looking for development. We're looking for competition. We're looking for players who are telling us, you better put my name on this roster. I'm a dog.
Or else.
Yeah, I'm a dog. You don't want me to go to one of your rivals. Put me on the roster, right? And that's exactly what Saturday night is about. The Eagles are building towards the regular season opener against Washington on September 13th. So every practice, every preseason, every rep, right? It's another brick. And here in Philly, and here on the Main Thing podcast, we all about stacking them bricks. So it's just another moment, all in all, to sharpen your craft and get better. Even if it's just 1% better. Better is better. What they say, if you're not moving forward, you're moving
Backward.
Let's keep moving forward.
Yes. That's all we can continue doing. Moving forward, stacking these bricks, and getting prepared for week 1 versus those Washington Commanders. But look, that is the end of our video today. We truly appreciate y'all tapping in with us, staying and checking out our content, supporting the brand as we continue to grow. But look, y'all already know, to our A1, Day 1 loyal supporters, thank you. Y'all know it's all love. The Main Thing Podcast Presents can't happen without the support from y'all. And to our new supporters, welcome to the community and our family. Let's continue to do our part for the community and our family. Look, we already gave y'all an assignment. Make sure y'all are subscribing to the channel, okay? Continue to like these videos, share, and subscribe to the channel. And last but not least, make sure you turn on that notification bell because you don't want to miss none of this fire content that me and Big Hus got cooking up. All right. But make sure you turn on that notification bell, also known as that Liberty Bell looking thingy, so you don't miss when Swoop comes out with the Eagles news and updates.
Absolutely. Hey, the message was sent. I know it was received. Hey, continue to support your birds. Continue to support the channel. Our birds play tomorrow, 7 p.m. Gillette Stadium. I know it's a preseason game, but y'all lock in, man. A lot of young men out there fighting for their livelihood, so it should be good. But hey, if you don't know, I go by Big Husk.
And I go by Mr. Owns.
And this is the Main Thing Podcast, where we keep the main thing
the main thing.
Stay blessed. Stay safe. You already know his flag was fly till we die. Till next time, we out.
It was I was gonna make a lot of money doing what I wanted to do. I went after it, and it was a struggle to achieve it. But you know what? I caught that